And during this Zoom summer camp, one of the days was like day 2 or 3, I'm in a private time of prayer and I'm sitting in front of my window, and it's when it finally clicked. And I was like, okay, wait, I know you. I've always known you. I love you. But God, I haven't surrendered myself to you.
That's good, Breezy.
I just like, for the first time, it's like it was real. It wasn't, I always say like God was a chapter in the book of my life. And this was the moment where I was like, oh wait, no, you're the binding. You're what holds it together.
So good.
That's so good.
I just saw him in all of his majesty for the first time. And I was like, oh wait, you're worthy of me. You're worthy of everything. I hate myself at this point. And I'm like, I don't see anything redeemable in me. And I don't see why you would want me and why there's anything worthy about me. But you say that you want me and I'm not holding that back. Like, I see myself as garbage, but who am I to go to a king and say, no, you can't have it? I'm like, even if I'm nothing, I will put nothing at your feet. Like, I don't have the authority to hold back what you died for.
So
because
crazy.
not because of who I am, but because of who you are.
Yeah. Hey friends, welcome back to the Flower and Flame podcast, where we talk about how Jesus flowers his church with his word and how the Holy Spirit unifies us and sets our hearts on fire for him. We're so glad that you are here. I'm Hannah.
I'm Kaylin.
I'm Breezy.
This is Breezy!
I kind of interrupted you.
That's okay.
Already off to a fantastic start.
Very good.
She's our third today. We are down Savannah again. She is ill and has graciously not brought the ill and ick to us. So
Yeah.
we're fine with that. It's sixth season. It's what happens.
Very most likely coming back, guys.
Yes.
I know she was gone last month too, but she will make a reappearance.
Sixth season's rough. It's hard to stay well.
I know.
It's hard to stay well.
Yeah.
So, but we're blessed to have our beautiful Breezy here on the other couch.
So for clarification about her name, so her name is Bree. Her last name starts with Z, and so everyone in her life calls her Breezy. And
Unless your autocorrect ruins it and puts a Y,
that's true.
you know.
But we spell it with a Y.
Yeah. Breezy.
B-R-E.
No, I know. And my autocorrect changed your name to Yagami. Do you remember this? You caught this when I was putting things
Also,
together.
there's my last name.
Yeah,
So
right.
that if
That's
they can do math, they're like, I figured out her name.
Put two and two together. Yeah.
I'm going to find out where she is.
We did make the mistake. We're trying to be really vague about details, but we made the mistake in one episode of talking about how we live in National Park City. And I was like, well, now you can figure out where we are. There's only one of those in North America.
It's a very big place, though.
that episode.
So what?
I remember that place.
Remember that episode? Yeah. Breezy watches the podcast. But anyway, yes, she is our wildflower resident baby. Technically
Technically, only second baby now.
second baby. We inherited a new baby who is in college, and we are her home Bible study. But you're the one that shows up every single week, and you make us so much cooler than we actually are. Yeah.
Okay. Also, the one good thing about that is I don't have to find the Alpha Common anytime we have a Passover Seder. And so I see that as a win.
Okay,
personally.
you just said a bunch of words that I guarantee you our listeners have no idea what
You
that
don't
is.
know what that is?
No, they don't know
Look
what
it up.
Seder. What's Seder?
You got this.
What's
Explains nothing.
It's a little homework, a little scavenger hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, Passover dinner. We do it in Bible study every single year. And we're Christians, not Jewish, but Christians.
we swear?
We swear. They will celebrate a Passover dinner in a way that shows how Jesus fulfills every single step of the Passover dinner. So we do that in our Bible study. And I forgot what the afikomen is. It's like that piece of bread.
So yeah, you get a little pizza matzah and then you hide it like in a little towel and then you go hide it in a place in the house and then you get the youngest person. Usually it's like, a 2-year-old and you're like, go find it. And they have to go and they go run.
Here, goes
And
hunt.
Breezy's she always goes and has to go get it. Oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
Our Bible study age ranges from literally 20 to 42. So it's anywhere in between in life stages.
I have actually
Really a
had people
woman's
ask me, they're like,
Bible.
oh, so is it like 30s. And I'm like, no.
It's pretty split.
Well, and then she's like, oh, so like
it's
you're
pretty Gen Z
the
millennial,
well, and
yeah.
then they're like, you're the older one, and you've got the younger one. So I'm like, well, no.
It's everything in between.
They're like, do you have a cap? I'm like, no. Yeah, no. I don't know. We just
They're like, okay,
let it go.
Cool.
At what point they feel uncomfortable? Like, I mean, adult. We have said that actually. We have said that. We have said
you can't be in high school. None of my high school.
You have
kids
to be able to
come.
buy dry ice, and that's about it.
Which and a lot of
Sign a form.
yeah, for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, we're so excited you're here. And Breezy is the daughter of the woman who disciples me. Since we're talking about discipleship,
She's really cool.
She's very cool. Also, we are totally conning her into coming on this podcast probably next month. So hopefully you'll see her with enough manipulation. I think we can, our powers combined. I think we can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so we just adore you. You literally make us laugh and smile so daggone much. And I'm so excited you came. Thank you. Okay, so you want to kick off with rapid fire questions?
Yeah. I was actually going to say, since we have our, youngest member here who is actively still in school.
Yeah.
What is your favorite class you have taken in your education? This could be like secondary education, pre-professional stuff, or what you're currently in. But what's been your favorite?
Classes? Because
Yes.
it's hard to take a favorite. Okay.
Yeah.
Top 3 classes would be, I took a self-defense class, which was surprisingly fun. And so if you've known me in the past few months, I've talked about it a lot. I really, really, really love it. And it's just a bunch of women like laughing and kicking and punching and yeah. I don't know. I like it.
Lots of violence.
Cool. Pretty cool violence. And then another one would probably be, I took a cultural expressions in Christianity class that I'm currently in. And so it's basically going through church history and saying, okay, how has different cultures interacting with each other influenced church history? And so like, how has the church crossed those cultural boundaries? And how has the cultural differences hindered the spread of the gospel? And so like, you have like a big one is going to be the Roman Empire that got to a point where they were like, okay, Roman Empire equal Christian. So if Roman Christian, go heaven. If not Roman, heathen, no heaven. It was pretty, not everyone, but that was kind of like the cultural idea. And so that caused a lot of tension when it came to missions, because they were like, why are we going to go to those heathens out in the, by the way, heathen is the actual term, like the kind of just common term that they would use to refer to non-Christians, non-Romans. And so now it has a very negative connotation to it, but that's not the connotation it had when we're talking like, 1200s. And so even though that has a bad connotation now, that's not what it had then. But yeah. And so it was very interesting. That caused a lot of problems. And then you have, what was the man's name? The dude's St. Patrick, literally that guy. He was like one of the first guys that was like, hey, God said, go out to all the world and evangelize. So I'm going to go out there and do that. And they did. It was really cool. And a bunch of people got saved. So studying that has been really cool.
That's nice.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
Wait, was this in college or high school?
This is now.
This
so
is now.
college.
I love it.
Yeah.
She goes to a Christian college, and she like comes and does homework at my house while I do work. And it's great because we ignore each other and then occasionally talk, but she'll be like, listen to this Hebrew word I'm learning right now. And I'm like, what? This is great. I wish I had that education. It's so sweet.
It was so cute. This morning, my mom was doing a little Bible study, and we like play pretend, and she'll be like, I need your scholarly advice. I'm not a scholar. And so she was like, okay, I'm so confused. We were looking at Psalm 40. And and it says, the mighty one, God, the Lord, Almighty, something like that. It like calls on
3
this,
different
and
names.
and she goes to the Hebrew, and it's El Elohim, Yahweh, or Adonai, depending on if you say YHWH. That's a lot of information. Sorry if I confused.
No, they're used
They're
to
good.
that.
They're good. Okay,
They listen to our conversation episodes, and it's just boom, 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 boom.
And so
Yeah.
we dug into that this morning, and we're like, okay, why does he call in these 3 names? And then we go in the Bible, and we're like, okay, where has it said this? There's only one other place in Joshua, I think, and they're divvying out the land to Israel.
Yeah.
And the different tribes.
allotments.
And one of the tribes says that 2 times. They say El Elohim Adonai, El Elohim Adonai. And these are the only 2 times they've talked about it. And we're like, okay, what is this? Why are they saying this? What does this mean? The conclusion I came to, though I haven't researched it extensively, so I don't know for sure, is that they're calling, it's like going from general to specific, because El is just God. It's just a generic name to say God.
Yeah.
Elohim is more personal. That's the creator God. And then Adonai is his covenant name. That is the most personal name that they have with God. So they're saying like, God, you know, my savior. Like it's getting more and more personal as they call on the covenant name of God. And then they do whatever they do. And so it was just really cool because we dove into the Hebrew and like found out all of this cool meaning behind.
So this is like a normal conversation between Breezy and her mom. This is also a normal conversation between me and Breezy's mom. But I like, even that is just this beautiful picture of discipleship in your own home. Like, and again, because we're talking about discipleship so much in this podcast right now, you have a unique relationship that I think a lot of our listeners probably didn't have with their parents growing up, where you are like with your mom, she raises you and loves you and you're close and disciples you. And it's very special. That's the way God intended it to be. And so I love that this is just an organic, this is not like, this wasn't like, here, come here and let me teach you things. Like it was like, let's geek out about Jesus together and learn stuff together and like pit off each other. And
I'm like mid putting on my blush and she was like, come here, I want you. I was like, okay. And I wrote out like a flashcard of all the Hebrew words and I'm like, this means this. And so it was her little like cheat sheet. So as she's reading through it, she's like, wait, what's El again? What's Elohim? Wait, which one refers to the covenant name? And we're like,
I love that. That's so awesome.
So
okay. Because you are the trendiest person in the Wildflower Bible Study, fair to say? Think she's our trendiest person?
Very, very close. If yes.
Yeah, she's in the top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
What is a trend that you wish would disappear forever? Tell me, Gen Z. Don't break our hearts.
No, I'm not. Okay, wait. I'm thinking. I'm like, which one do I want to go after?
Jeans, I will throw you off.
No, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. I'm not going to go after skinny jeans. Personally,
I am keeping my skinny jeans.
I don't like the feel of skinny jeans, but I don't kill them.
Okay.
What's a trend? I'm not good. See, rapid fire questions. I'm not good at thinking fast. So, yeah, I don't know.
Pick on us. Pick on
y'all.
What have we done that you can't stand? Like,
or what's something that you're like, you
style-wise.
see your friends or your classmates doing and you're like, yeah,
Ew.
if that could,
What gives
if
you the
that
ick?
could die.
what gives you the ick?
Wait. I have one, but I would literally be attacking like 60% of women.
That's fine.
Do I want to do that?
Sure.
Okay. Love me. Forgive me. Actually, I'm looking straight at you. The box dye blonde hair with a deep fake tan. Sometimes I'm super into color theory and I love you, sweetheart. It's I don't think
but also
it glorifies your features as much as it could.
Agreed.
Go with your natural hair color, like go with your natural skin tone. It's a blessing. The Lord has wonderfully and beautifully made you. You don't need to fake any of that. Great tip for makeup is like you want to accentuate your features, not cover them up or change them. So going 4 shades darker and then using a box dye every week, you're okay. You don't need to do that. I love you.
The first thing that came to mind is I don't know if anyone else has seen it on Facebook, but it's the girl who's like now 20 years removed from her high school experience in the like mid 2000s. And she's using honey beige, like CoverGirl foundation that is 3 skin tones too dark for her.
Yeah.
Box bleach dyed hair. And she's doing her eyebrows real thick and real cut creased, right? Like real cut creased, real thick eyebrows.
2016 core.
Yeah, that's very 2016.
We're even calling back to like 2010 as like her makeup style. Oh, and then the shiny pink frosted lip gloss. The frosted shiny pink lip gloss.
Have you seen the jokes about the Utah girls?
Yes.
Yeah. With the and also like the.
Are we talking about Jane Insane? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
She's on YouTube and I love her and I follow her. She's like does family content, but she's mostly does like comedic family content.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, just like and then like they'll have a bob and then they'll get a flat iron and do like the little kind of half
Oh,
curl
yeah.
where like and then
Yeah.
it like sticks out.
Yes.
And I'm like, sometimes it can be pulled off and sometimes
I can't.
but
But the girl in the Facebook thing also now has a much cleaner look, and it's a much more even blonde.
Yeah, y'all
that's, like,
definitely-
more natural tone.
You helped everybody do the clean girl, natural, pretty makeup.
I see what trend you're calling, and it's still here, but it came from us. We will say it. It came from our years of. We just didn't know, and we, Ulta was new, and
Our
everyone said,
moms
"Yeah."
taught us how to do makeup, and our moms are boomers. So y'all saved us.
I
Thank you.
would stand to say it was YouTube that taught me, and
well, I mean, eventually, but when we were like preteens,
no, my mom just said like don't hear like you need to put something on your lips, and like handed me like a those CoverGirl mousse foundations.
oh,
That was about as much as I got. So it was one face tone, no blush, and like a lip gloss.
it's true.
That was. I have photos. I choose not to show them ever.
Okay, I'm gonna ask mine next, so that way you can do yours and then transition us into
Yeah. What's your?
Okay, next one, because you and I met geeking out over Star Wars because I was Breezy's youth leader for like 10 minutes.
yeah,
Maybe
I'm
a
still
year.
child.
Maybe. Literally the day she graduated, I was like, cool, come join our Bible study. These are your people. And I
hunted me
promise
down.
you want to come here.
It was like a dark and stormy night, and I heard like the scurrying, like the
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like, what's that? It's behind me. You want to join our Bible study?
Yeah.
Terrifying. She nabbed me.
I did. Well, you were like subterranean level deep processing among all the other high schoolers, and I was like, you want to be around adults anyway, and like, so I was like, these are your people.
Yeah.
So okay, but it was my first time like serving at youth group, and I was very nervous, and you were like the only high school girl at the time, and I don't know what to do with middle schoolers. And so I was like, I'm gonna weirdly attach to Breezy and
the Lord
and
said I
hopefully
blessed it.
find my niche. Yeah, because I'd only done like campus ministry with high schoolers. I had never done youth group ministry. Anyway, we geeked out about Star Wars. So this question is, which fictional universe do you know a little too much about?
You just answered the question.
Is it
for
Star
me.
Wars, or is it, because you know several?
No, it's Star Wars.
Okay.
I can, honey. It's
You can do a lot with Star Wars.
it's like I think like par for par tell you everything that happened from the Battle of Geonosis until the fall of the Republic.
All things nobody
All
knows what we're talking about,
things.
except I know
Things
exactly
before,
what you're talking
things
about.
after, like everything. You can mention a random planet. You can
Yeah.
be like, oh yeah, no, Ord Mantell. And I'm like, wait. And I go back into my mindscape and I'm like, yes. And I know. And I'm like, Bad Batch. They were there. There was that
Bad
one girl.
Batch.
You can hear like, I'll
Real
hear
ones know.
random like little names of different aliens and such. And I have to like think. And I'm like, I know this one. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the weird guy with the long little snoot and little eyes. And I'm like, I know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I know so much about everything. I've seen all of it. I've watched all of it. I sit and I wait for a new show, and then I go, "Arr," and then I watch it all.
That's great.
It's
Are you excited about, because your episode comes out April 1st.
okay.
So in May is Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm going to watch it. We'll see.
I am gonna see it.
I mean, I'm not going to not see it.
Okay.
And Mandalorian hasn't disappointed me yet.
Can I summon my soapbox for 5 seconds?
5 seconds. Okay. I'm cutting you off after 5.
Okay. Dave Filoni was popping off. He was doing so well. He was redeeming Star Wars, and freaking Disney clutched its little claws around season 3 and ruined the quality of it. And I think they have their claws around Mandalorian Grogu, and so I'm hesitant.
I know.
Because they were like,
Disney
we want
ruins
viewership.
Star
And I'm like,
Wars.
what about storytelling?
I know.
Art? But I'm okay.
It's okay.
So that's my,
That hot take is for us.
Yes,
Right.
because
Because Caitlin's like, what the crap?
Nothing.
Who the crap is Dave Filoni?
yeah.
He's the Jedi Padawan. Anyway, continue.
it's the one universe I never went into.
That's fine.
I've never seen any of the Star Wars.
Yeah.
I know. It's like the one thing I decided to not hyperfixate on as like the weird fantasy child.
I also
Everything else, but not that one.
I also had a really extensive like Batman and Robin phase. So I know a bunch of lore
yeah.
about them too for some reason.
Went into like a
them,
Marvel phase.
Mini. I know
DC.
all the
Yeah.
Robins.
Didn't last long. I'm pretty sure as far as things go, this makes sense only to Gen Z.
Okay.
For the question that I have. And I found it when we were looking
Locked
through
in.
Gen Z questions prior. None of this makes sense to me.
Locked in.
How do you choose to process? Do you use notes, voice memos, or silently dissociate into the abyss? That was the question I had found. And apparently this is how Gen Z processes. None of that is how I have ever
abyss.
processed.
That's pretty good. I think I do all of
Yeah, I was waiting. You do all of
you
them.
do all of them?
those. I primarily have to get my thought.
What is
this.
voice memo?
Oh, honey.
No.
Really?
Yeah, nah.
Hey, so do you know
My voice memo at work. All the time.
when you get your phone to record audio and then it just has audio?
Does your
Just
phone have to
audio
have space on it to do that?
Probably.
Does your phone have
is
to be
why.
normal for that to work?
Yeah,
I use
probably.
audio messages a lot. So to process, I like journaling a lot. That definitely helps me feel sane because thoughts ping, 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 ping. No good. No bueno. And so I have to get thoughts from ping, ping onto paper and then make sense. Thoughts. So I will often, I do journaling a lot. And then sometimes I'll just talk into the abyss, but I'm really talking to God. I'm like, yo. Blah, blah,
Is
blah,
it just talking to yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, disassociating into the abyss is like I pretend that
Disassociating-
nothing is happening at all.
Yeah. I
Good or
kinda
bad.
oh
forgot
no.
what your question
no.
was at the very end.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Disassociate into the abyss. I think that's I'm in a really, if you ever find me disassociating into the abyss, it's bad. It's bad. Send help 911 because I'm not in a good place. But normally, yeah. Sometimes do I want to out myself? No, I don't. I have to talk to someone. I have to talk to God. I have to talk to a person. I have to talk to my journal. I have to talk to something in order to get thoughts out and then make sense. By verbal process.
No, I mean, and that's usually a great point for us to kind of start, because that's the first thing we always like to ask when we're doing what we always do here. This is testimony. So we are asking Breezy to share her testimony, her walk with Jesus, which isn't necessarily a life story. It is her describing the events that have led her to Jesus and how Jesus reflects in her life and how it can be a testimony to others that might watch this, which I guess as far as things go, we don't ask about like full childhood, but like, what is your first kind of thought when you first were finding yourself talking to God? When did that kind of become like a cognitive part to your, I guess, start of story, if you will?
So for me, I remember that wonderful woman we talked about earlier, my mom. She's so fantastic and I love her. And she always had such a strong faith growing up. And so I always had that fantastic example. And so I always knew God. There was never a point where I was like, I don't believe in you anymore. I always knew God and I always considered myself a Christian. I don't even have a moment where I would think that I was saved, so to speak, because I have a hard time remembering early childhood. I feel like 2018, I became conscious and I'm like, oh, I can remember life now. So before that, it's like sparse memories. And so I've always known God, but there was that specific moment of surrendering my life to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. I actually, okay, this is a good one. I remember when I was super young, this is probably 2012, 2013. I'm like 6, maybe older, maybe younger, around then. And I remember sitting, I for some reason didn't go to kids church, and so I was sitting in like the main service and they're singing worship and all of that, and I just start crying my eyes out. And it got to the point where I was so mad and I hated going to like big church because I would always cry my eyes out during worship and I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I don't want anyone to see me crying. Like, I don't understand why I'm crying. I'm not sad. Like, I'm just like so emotional and I don't want anyone to see me. And it was like that for years where I just always cried during the worship and I'm like, and then I think my relationship with God first started getting personal around like 10 years old. And so that's when I kind of like, it was more intentional of not just like, oh, I'm a kid going through life and God's right beside me, but like, oh wait, I want to have like a friendship with you. And so then I finally talked to my mom and was like, I don't know why I'm crying so much during service. And she's like, you're moved and that's okay. Like you're emotionally moved by the worship. And I was like, oh, it's normal? And she was like, yeah, it's normal. You're okay.
Explain what your denominational upbringing was, because we're interdenominational, just like probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Were you in New Orleans at this time? Or not New Orleans? Louisiana?
No, Tennessee.
You were in Tennessee. Okay.
I was in, how much do I explain? So our family is really funny when it comes to denominations. We've never really ascribed to one specifically because like growing up, my mom and dad were Baptists and then they went to like a more charismatic Pentecostal church. And then it was more non-denominational churches and then kind of flirted with Baptists and then more non-denominational. So I think I grew up when I was in Tennessee from like until I was like 9, it was like non-denominational. And then I moved to Louisiana and then that was also non-denominational. And then, yeah, I think we just kind of sat there for a while until recently kind of flirted with like a more charismatic church. Now we're, I'd say denomination. Right now we're going to like a Assemblies of God. And
Which
so
is also a charismatic denomination.
Yeah. So I guess charismatic too. So it's just kind of like non-denominational, charismatic, Baptist little smoothie mix bowl.
You are interdenominational.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically I'm interdenominational. And you're probably like, man, why is she going to 50 million churches? I moved a lot growing up. So that's why I have been to 50 million churches, is because I just move and then we go to a different place and then we go to a different place. And so we were always having to find another church.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a long
No. I was going to say
so the last thing you said before I interrupted with my question was your mom was saying the Spirit's moving you and that's okay. And that's why you're crying during worship.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And so then I was getting okay with it and was like, oh, I can do this. I remember being like 10 and like, just like listening, I would listen to Oceans by Hillsong and I would just sob my little eyes out, like, and just sit there and worship God at 10 years old, which is like crazy to me. Cause I think of like 10 and below and I'm like, you're so young. Like do you have many thoughts other than like play fun? Move around, no thoughts, empty head. And I'm like, and I had the capacity to like weep my soul out.
Yeah.
And like, it always reminds me of how intentional God is. And like, he meets us where we are and we're never like too young for him to engage with us.
Yeah.
I used to have a youth group leader and he always said, there's no junior Holy Spirit.
Love it.
And so he would
should shout that from the rooftops. I know people in my life that I love who completely disagree with that. But yes, I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit is for anyone who gives their life to Jesus, no matter how old.
Because if you think about it, like God is so grand that I'll take another pastor's example is he was like, if it says that Jesus was made a little lower than the angels when he became a man. So men are below angels. If like men are like little ants and angels are like a deer, then God is like the entire cosmos. Like you can't even put angels anywhere near the same level of God. So if God's having to all of his greatness and like intelligence and power and might and just the vastness of who he is can come and interact with us small little creatures with our small little comprehension and brain, it doesn't make any difference for him to talk to us or you with a fully developed frontal lobe or with like a 2-year-old.
Just me, not you.
Sorry, y'all.
I'm kidding. Caitlin's frontal lobe is definitely more developed than mine.
people would beg to differ in some ways, but sure, we'll go with that.
Anyway, go ahead, Breezy.
Yeah, I don't think it takes much more for him to be able to communicate with like a small child and a toddler, and he still knows how. And it may not be as deep as we would consider it because they're not engaging in a theological like conversation with the Lord.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think there's anything less beautiful about it and less valuable about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love it.
Did you feel like at that time in life you were kind of on a high a little bit with Jesus, or did it kind of, because what we always love to ask is like where it kind of began to, I think every believer, especially those who've been believers for a long time, go into the valley and then they go through that struggle period. And I mean, you're describing a time of life where a lot of girls start to hit puberty, and we, especially when you're moving, going to go through a lot of relationship changes. And not all of it's always fun, pretty roses, sunshine. So, I mean, but at this point you feel like you were kind of on a high a little bit, or?
Yeah, I'm just warning now, I'm going to probably jump between the timeline of my life a lot. So I'll try to keep it
because they all
somewhat
tie.
clear. Cause this is actually something that I realized like a while back, like just kind of cause like looking back on my life and seeing God's hand and then seeing the devil trying to like mess everything up. Very interesting timeline is that, you know, as a child, like I would cry during worship, didn't know why, I was always moved by it, always so in love with the Lord, always loved him. And then 10 years old, question mark, was the first time I like fully felt the presence of God follow me. I don't know what you would call it. Some people might call it the baptism of the Holy Spirit.
Can you describe that experience? Because I'm wondering if several of our listeners don't know what you mean by that. And they definitely may not know the term baptism of the Holy Spirit, but don't worry, because I'm getting your mom to explain that to us when she comes on the podcast.
Yeah.
So when she listens to this episode, she can loathe me. It's fine, but she'll be here. But explain when you were talking about what was it like for you to experience the presence of God?
So, okay, setting the stage. I'm 10 years old. I'm sitting at my desk doing my mental math exercises. So it's like, you know, what's 5 times 7? And I'm like, I'm typing into the keyboard. Yeah. And I'm listening to worship music in the background because math is boring and I don't want to do it.
Sure.
And I'm just so like, I don't know. I was just so filled with this desire, little 10-year-old me, to like worship God. I'm like, because this is when I start like really being like, oh wait, it's okay to be emotional during worship, and being really intentional about my worship. And I'm losing my thought. Me, worship, mental math. Yes. I'm so moved that I'm like, wow, I just really feel like I need to go worship the Lord. Like, I just want to like, I know I need to get my homework done, but I want to go and spend time with him. Like, I feel like I just want to worship him. And so I like went outside into our little garden and like by this little tree and our stream and all of that. And I have my little, like, at this point, it's probably like an iPhone 7, like may have been a 6, who knows? Like my little iPhone, I'm playing on YouTube, and I'm playing like whatever little worship music tracks I knew. And I just sat in the yard and I was just like, I started sobbing my eyes out. And it was like, I would describe the presence of the Holy Spirit. It just feels like a big warm hug, like just kind of like a warm coat being wrapped around you. Or like, no, when you get a blanket out of the dryer and you wrap it around, it's like, oh my gosh, that's kind of what it feels like. Like, it's just like a big warm hug wrapping around you. And I just sobbed my eyes out. And I was just so filled with love. And it's so long ago that I can't describe that many details of it. And I'm sure that I was so young that it was more difficult to kind of have a concept for what was happening. But I just knew in that moment that I loved God so much, and I was pouring out my love on him and worshiping him, and that he was right there with me.
That's beautiful.
So
that's really cool, Breezy.
Did you, at this point, how was your parents kind of, because it sounds like your parents were more the guide for your relationship with Jesus and with your relationship with God, more so than, would you say, your church kind of at the time, because you guys moved a lot when you were a kid? Did they pick up on what you were going through?
Yes. So here's something that we're going to it's going to weave throughout my testimony a lot. So I'll go ahead and bring it in. When a few years before I was born, so my parents, like I said, they they lived in Louisiana, and then they met and they fell in love. They got married, all of that. It was wonderful. They moved to Mexico. I think they have their first, do they have their first kid in Mexico? No, first kid in Louisiana. And then they go to Mexico as missionaries and have the next 2 kids. And it's like wonderful. And dad is like a, like a co-pastor, what's it called? Not lead pastor. Associate pastor of a church. And like, it's all this great things. The Lord's moving. And then they go through a pretty horrific church hurt experience that just kind of pulled the rug out from under them. And it devastated my dad and completely shattered his faith. And after that, they had to come back to Louisiana. They had lost their church. They had lost all their connections. They had lost all their friends. They were basically kicked off the mission field. And I'm not going to go into detail about the church situation, but I will say that there were some questionable things happening, and they tried to stand up and be like, hey, I don't think this is the way that we should walk through this. This doesn't honor the Lord. And the people were like, oh, well, that's great. You can take your opinions back to Louisiana. And so, yeah, it was very devastating. And my mom knew that my dad was not doing good, but she was like, oh, he's just kind of reeling from it all. But he ended up kind of walking away from the faith, and he still believed in God. I mean, he would pray if we asked him to, but he just emotionally, spiritually cut himself off and fell into an incredibly deep depression that would be a battle for the next 25 years of his life. So my entire upbringing was, my dad was not emotionally or spiritually there, even though he was physically there. He also dealt with anger issues a lot. And so he never beat us or hurt us or abused us in any kind of way like that, but he would get frustrated and he would raise his voice. And so he would be angry, and he was super back and forth with his emotions. So that was also kind of something that formed me, was growing up, you like want your dad's approval and you like want to be friends with your dad, but like one day I could be his friend and then the next day he's like angry, and I'm like, okay, wait, how do I make you happy?
Get there? Yeah.
And then I get old enough to be like, oh, I can't make you happy as you are. And so what do I do with that? And so there's actually a really cool redemption story, because I said 25 years, and those 25 years ended 2 years ago. When he came back to the Lord. So that's a little taster. We're gonna get back to that. We're gonna keep
for when we
showing you
con Breezy's mom into coming on the podcast.
That and also the rest of my testimony, because that will tie into later. But keep that in mind. There's a redemption coming. But that's the scene right now. Is like, I'm young. My mom is the primary spiritual leader of our family.
Yeah.
I'm seeing her as this example of loving the Lord. But my dad is kind of like, he doesn't go to church. He doesn't really do any of that. Like I'm struggling to engage with him because I don't know. He's just kind of like in his office all the time. It's like one of those roommates that you just kind of like, y'all are on different schedules. So you like kind of see him occasionally, but it's my dad. So I'm like, what do I do with that? I'm 10. So
how would you say like that experience or other experiences when you were a kid, like formed you and what the biggest longing of your heart was? Like, what would you say was the biggest longing of your heart?
I think I was thinking on, so actually Hannah sent me a little thing. She was like, hey, here's some things to ponder as we're leading up to the podcast. And I was thinking on this question a lot, because it's a big question. I'm like, I can't think about that on the spot. And I think the biggest longing of my heart was the question of, am I lovable? I'm going to cry many times during this podcast. Where are the tissues?
Great question.
Oh, we
sorry.
didn't do that
You
this
have a
time.
sleeve.
Yeah, it was sleeve. Am I lovable? Because I always wanted to be loved, specifically in a way that I could receive. Because I was loved, but for some reason I didn't see it.
It didn't translate to you.
The lie that the devil started kind of twisting into me when I was young was that there was something so intrinsically broken about me, not in the way of like hurt and needs to be fixed, but like the blueprint of who I was wrong and couldn't function properly. And there was something like in the way that I was made that was so fundamentally broken that I couldn't be loved and that I would never I could never fully be myself and be loved. That like, if you know Timothy Keller, I think that's his name.
Tim Keller, yeah.
Tim Keller. He has a quote about like being fully known and fully loved. And how if you're fully known but not fully loved, that's our worst fear.
Yeah.
But if you're fully loved but not fully known, it's like an act, like you feel inadequate because they don't actually know you.
Oh, that's good.
But if you are fully loved and fully known, that is like that is the peak of human flourishing.
That's from Meaning of Marriage, isn't it? I think it is.
Might be.
Which is one of my top 10 favorite books ever written.
Yeah. So I lived in the fully loved but not fully known for a lot of my life, wondering like, how can I make myself palatable to those around me so that I can be loved, and not realizing that it would never reach my heart unless I opened up. But I didn't want to, because I'm like, people are going to think I'm weird. Like I was kind of a geeky kid. I've always been. I mean, we started this out talking about Star Wars, and I didn't even get on the subject of Zelda and like all these different things that I love. And I had a Batman phase when I was like 12. So I definitely was not like the preppy high school or middle schooler. I was also homeschooled. So, and I lived on a farm during like my formative. That's another thing. I lived on a farm in Podunk, nowhere. In a small town that was known as the Village, because it had a official residential population of 700 people. And so this was when I moved to Louisiana. So I had my like 7 friends that were in my little homeschool class that I went to once a week. And that was about my human connection. And then past that, I sat on the farm, and that's from the ages of 9 to 14. So my like formative social years were spent pretty isolated. Wow. And that definitely made it very difficult when I was in high school, because I'm like, oh, I'm having to figure out how to like interact with humans. And so I already have this like feeling of, oh, I'm weird and geeky. The interests that I like are weird. Who I am is weird. I can't act normal. And then on top of that, it's like, I don't actually have a lot of experience for engaging with humans and having like connection outside of my family. So I'm trying to learn that. And that just added to the lie of like, there's something broken about you. And so I would try to like study people. And I'm like, if I can study what they're doing and then copy it, then I'll be palatable. But then like, I'm just sitting there studying, being like, okay, wait, I remember getting my first job, and my coworker was like leaning against a table, and I kind of like leaned the same way and like propped against the table. And I was like, I think this is what we do. I don't know.
It's like mirroring.
Oh yeah.
Or mimicking to help. Like, if I look like you, you'll like me.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is totally psychological.
I used to do this when I was younger. Not because I wasn't socialized. I was just also the weird kid, but it very quickly turned into the people who were cooler than me kind of catching on, and I got clocked as two-faced because they were like, you're not being yourself. And I was like, well, I don't know that you would like myself. So I'm trying to be you. And they're like, this is weird, because they would see basically a mirror of themselves, and they wouldn't know like what to do with that. And I very quickly learned like, okay, I guess I have to just be myself if I'm going to like do this. But also at the same point in time, I was so scared to be who I was, because I just was like, everyone's going to think this is like too much, or I'm just too strange or out there for them, or I've got weird interests that they don't have at the same time. Yes. And I mean, I didn't have faith though. That's the biggest difference hearing your story, Breezy, which is cool, is that you had God, you were walking with faith, but it's just weird. It's crazy to me, because I felt that loneliness too, and that anxiety and that like personal fear in the same way without God. But at the same time with you, I can see this kind of pull that at least I think I hear in your story of like this light that you had of like, I know I am loved and I know what true love is, but you were navigating, still trying to figure out how to find that and how to grow into that. I feel like
I know it exists, but in my mind it was like, how do I attain it? Not I already have it.
Oh.
So I know that it's there.
Did you feel like there was any like lies or anything other than lies of the enemy, but like lies from the church or other people in community that they were kind of telling you about like, this is how you get love, or like, this is what you've got to do to be, you know, A plus B, good Christian, good value equal good life kind of thing? Did you get taught or kind of fed any of that?
I think the most formative people in my life were probably my siblings, because like I said, I was hopping churches so much. I didn't fully have like a church community and like dive into a church until I was 16 question mark.
Yeah.
And so I was interacting with my siblings, and siblings, as you know, like we love each other because we're in a family together. But at the same time, like sometimes I think if all my siblings, if all of us were just like individual people, I don't know if we would find each other on the street and just like become friends with each other because we're all so different.
Yeah.
But we are siblings and so we're close. But then there's also this tension of I'm the only one in my family of the kids that actually has a relationship with the Lord.
Right.
Every other kid in my family, and
There's 5 of you.
There's 5 of us. And so every other one around the time they got to middle high school started wandering off. And then by college, they were like, I'm sick. I'm done with this God. And so that also caused tension is that I was like, not only the goody two shoes who followed all the rules and did all the things and then was also geeky and had these weird interests and the youngest of the family, but I also like loved God so much. And so I was like, I think in their eyes, I might've been kind of like the little favorite child because I was like my mom, in the way that we both love the Lord.
Right.
But then they weren't like people pleasers. They weren't like follow all the rules, do everything right. Like little, I'm gonna do everything. And they didn't mirror mom in the faith. And so it kind of created a dissonance between all of us.
But they also weren't necessarily doing it because like they were following your father or anything. They were doing it just out of their own spite or hardships and stuff they were going through.
I think that's another interesting thing is that like, I don't think I was impacted by church culture as much as a lot of Christians were because all of my siblings were heavily impacted by church culture and the negative aspects of it. All of them, their story is very much tied into that. And I'm the only one that I'm like, I mean, I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it's there, but it's not one of the primary things.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's almost sad to say that because my brother's a little bit that way, but sometimes I think parents pick up on some of those things a little bit later for some of the older siblings. And so for the younger ones, they kind of get, because psychologically, and I love hearing that, and I think Hannah's the one who said this to me or someone had, but the parents one sibling had is not the parents the others had. And so you can't compare the parents because they're not going to be the same parent for either or anyone in that family.
Like the oldest is always getting guinea pig. They're always the guinea pig. They're always getting new parents, and you're getting parents who've been parenting 4 times ahead of you. And
for my brother, he like saw the things that maybe I picked up on or chose to kind of, deal with or work through, and same vice versa, but it didn't influence either of us in the same way. Very different experiences. But you still see it, which is cool because you can learn from it if you understand it.
Yeah.
Do you think, as far as like with your dad, you were aware of it at younger age? Because I know you've told me like once you were old enough to kind of pick up on it where that kind of went for you. But when you were younger, were you just aware that it was tied to church, or were you thinking it was more personal with like you and your mom?
I think, are you talking about what was tied to church? Like my faith?
His hurt? No, his walking away and stuff.
I don't know exactly. I know that I don't think I always knew that like he was hurt by the church and like he was hurt by some mean people that were in the church, but I don't think I really tied that to like the church itself. I just was aware that Christians go through church hurt from a young age. Like I was always prepared. I always knew that I did. Yay. I always knew that I was going to go through seasons where I was going to be heavily hurt by the people that are in the church. And some of it might be because they are not really Christian and they're like wolves in sheep clothing. And some of it is because we're broken humans.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you want to talk about that part next, or is there between the two something you want to touch on?
I can link from there into that because there's something I wanted to cover.
Take us there.
Yeah.
She's also our resident beautiful storyteller, so I know she's got where she can put the pieces together for me.
Thanks. I don't remember what I was saying. Dad.
You were talking about being homeschooled and going through that kind of, we're around 14.
Oh, Dad in the church and things like that. Yeah, I always knew that he was like hurt by people, and so he was like kind of functioning out of that hurt. Where do I want to start? I remember the first time I had some like, I really started like grappling with Dad and his brokenness and like wanting to figure out how that works, is that like I was like daddy's little girl. I was like I just loved my dad so much when I was like super young, like 8, 9 years old. But then I started picking up on these patterns of like him being like happy one day and then like angry the next. And like we would be fine. And then all of a sudden he would be enraged. And then I'm like, what did I do? And like, it didn't make sense and I couldn't find logic behind it. There was one specific moment when it was something like I was frustrated at dad because of something I don't remember what it was. I was angry at him for something. And so we had this little outdoor garage area. You would go through a door and go into the garage. And so I pulled mom aside. I'm like 9. I go into this garage and I'm talking about how mad I am about whatever dad did. Don't remember what it was. And she's kind of giving me some advice. And she said something along the lines of like, it was very, very good advice. She was very kind, but she said something like, try to listen to him a little bit more, or like try to be a little bit more respectful. I don't remember what it was. It was some little nugget of advice. And I was like, okay, I'll try. And I go back into the house and I continue on with my day. And a few days later, we got in another fight. And like, this was, I think like 8, 9 was when I first started to get in like actual like fights with my dad. And a few days later, when we get in this fight, he pulled it up. He brought that up and he was like, you need to do what your mother says and be more respectful, or whatever she had told me, whatever advice it was. I don't remember it, but basically the nugget of that was like, oh, he betrayed me. He was listening in on my conversation with mom. And it was this betrayal of trust that I was like, oh no, I can't trust you anymore. Come to find out years later, mom had actually talked to him and had told him what we had talked about, simply like keeping him up to date, like as parents do.
Being a married couple, raising children. Yeah.
But I didn't know that until I was like 16. And so I spent from the time I was 9, so like 7 years, thinking that he had listened in. And something about that was so betraying to me that it was kind of the downfall of our relationship. And as we kept having these fights and I kept like not being able to predict it, I just started emotionally closing him off and distancing myself more and more. And I was like, why am I going to try to make you happy if I can't? And that's going to culminate into like early teenagehood as I'm into like staring, like when I have a conversation with someone, like watching their facial expressions every little bit. And if they're not showing like a obvious approval on their face, then I'm like, oh my gosh, they hate me and they're mad at me.
I did that too.
And people watching and people pleasing. And like, that's like me picking apart everything because I'm trying to make them happy.
Right.
And even though I'm like, oh, I don't care what my dad thinks. Yeah. Like I still do. And it's showing up in all the people around me because I don't want to face him.
Right.
And so I start distancing myself from my dad. And then you get to where I'm 10. And so this is where we're going to get in timeline. Okay. So you're ready. So love the Lord, younger. Then I start like crying during church, during the worship service, just like really starting to like fall in love with God more and more, little bit by bit, having this tension with my dad. By the time I'm 10, I have this first experience with the Holy Spirit of it just feels like a blanket wrapped around me. Like it is so sweet. I'm really falling in love with the Lord. I'm having these intentional moments of worship. At this point, I've kind of pushed my dad away, and my oldest sibling oldest sibling is moved away in a different state for college. So we're not super close. I'm showing you how the devil isolated me because he loves isolating people. Oldest sibling moved away in college. Don't really see him much. And then I have the next one that there's like a 9-year gap between us. So we're not super close because I'm like a child and she's like teenagehood and she's wants to be cool and a teenager and she's not like those little kids that she has to watch over, so we're not close. And then we have my next sibling, the one directly above me. And she was going through her own things. So there is tension there. She is hardcore bullying me growing up and spoke a lot of death over me out of her own brokenness in that time.
I love that you acknowledge that. She was bullying me. It was really hard. She spoke a lot of death over me, but you know that it's from her own brokenness. I think that takes a lot of maturity, like spiritual maturity, to be able to recognize that. And you spoke that with grace and honor to your sister. Yeah.
Yeah. And in case I don't get back to it, so much redemption has happened in our life. And so I may talk about like rough periods between me and the sister above me, but if you could meet her now, like I cry over how proud I am of her and how much she's grown and like the beautiful woman that she's become. And I just love her more than anything.
That's beautiful. Breezy.
So there is that redemption if I don't quite get there today. All this is happening. And after I have that moment with the Lord and I'm like, wow, like the Lord's really good. That's the first time 10 years old that I get into pornographic material. And so that was like, I think a 6-month period. Anyway, that was the first time I got into that. And so that fills me with shame, And my mom is the only one I have left and like our faith and things like that. And out of my shame, boom, completely shut the door and push her out emotionally. And she felt that, but she didn't really know what to do with it. She thought I was just like young and like going through that, like, I don't need my mom. Right. I'm 11 years old. So the devil has methodically like closed every door of emotional vulnerability with everyone in my family and isolated me.
Can I ask a question and follow up that? Other than the obvious temptation of Satan, what, in light of like being bullied by your sister and feeling distant from your other siblings and having this hurt with your dad, what do you think, maybe that or something else, led you to be like, I'm going to turn to porn to be the thing? Because I think there's probably several of our listeners that have either previously struggled with that or are currently struggling with that. And this is something that in Big C church culture, it's talked about with men, that men struggle with pornography, but women struggle with it too. Very, very much. And I feel like it is like frowned upon for us to talk about in the same way that I'm going to say, I'm getting verbal permission from you, the same way masturbation is, where it's like, we can't say these things because they're so shameful and nobody can know that I do this. Nobody can know that I struggle with this. And so I want you to speak into like, what do you think the root was that led you to turn to it? Cause I think for our listeners, if they struggle with this and they discover what the root is, it helps break some of that chain of the stronghold the enemy has on it. So what do you think the root was for you that was like, this is a false comfort for me?
That's really good. One of my passions is actually like helping break the bondage of pornography off my generation. Because personally, I think that probably 90% of my generation, at least like the American, like Western part, is been exposed to pornography because it's so prevalent.
Yeah, and you've only ever known internet. There's never been a moment in your life and you did not have access to all information and all things at the same time.
Yeah, I got my first iPod when I was like 8. Right. So 8 or 9.
You're also the generation before you had parents who understood how to put in blocks and put in ways to not find that content.
Right. Mom always says like my biggest regret was putting phones in y'all's hands. If I had known what the internet would become, I would never have given it to you. But when she did, I know it was just a fun phone with games on it. Like that's all it was.
That's how it was with our parents with us. But that's why millennial parents are not giving their phones kids. Yeah. They're like, absolutely not giving their not at all.
And we were older. That's the other hard thing here. Like hearing you talk about the age you were versus us, I was 18. Like there's this 10-year age gap. I had a better formative frontal lobe. Wasn't formed, but more formative. Yours was, I mean, those are years that you like genuinely can't like understand how that's going to apply to your own personal self-worth, your own personal self-growth, what it subconsciously kind of like subverts or makes you think or do at the end of the day. Yeah. Because you said around 12, like
at this point I'm 10.
Like when you're first finding
when I first find it is when I was 10. It gets sadder. I sometimes I think back to my young self and it like makes me sad. I have empathy for her because I'm like, you were so young. And I definitely I think I see it more of an a direct attack of the enemy, like very planned and strategic, as opposed to like me trying to fill a void in my heart, because it like you said, I was so young that I didn't understand. So I'm like scrolling on, it was Pinterest of all things. I was scrolling on Pinterest and I would see, it wasn't, that's the weird thing is that like, it wasn't really visual pornography as much as just people talking about it and making jokes about it.
Yeah.
And like content talking about sex. And so I would see someone talking about sex and I'm like, all I know about sex at this point is that I would see the chickens on our farm doing a little dance. I'm like, Mom, what are they doing? She's like, they're getting married.
They're making babies.
Yeah, they're getting married. And I'm like,
getting
weird.
married.
And I was like, how does that work? And she said, the parts fit. And so that's as far
God love your
as I've gotten. She's actually been really, really great. This like, I think, and how that conversation progressed. She didn't sit me down and traumatize me in one sitting. And then like, I got up a different person. It was like a slow conversation of revealing more and more information. Yeah. The Corrie ten Boom book.
Yeah.
Is it called Corrie ten Boom? I don't remember. Yeah. Whatever her book is, she has this moment where she wants to know something and her dad's like, that information is too heavy for you. I use this example all the time. And she's like, but I want to know like whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. She was like, I want to know like, what is it? Why won't you tell me? And they're on a train and he gets a suitcase and he puts it down and he says, pick up that suitcase. She's like, okay. And she tries and it's too heavy and she can't lift it because she's a little kid. And he says, just like that suitcase, some knowledge is too heavy for you to carry.
I love that.
So trust me to carry this knowledge for you until you're strong enough to hold it.
That's awesome. That's better than you're too young, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
I like that framework a lot better. Yeah.
It is one of my favorite quotes because it was knowledge that was too heavy for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do with it. So what the devil did is he exploited, this is what he always does. He exploited my natural childlike wonder and curiosity.
Yes.
And
that's the way
so
to put that.
I only know a little bit about sex and I start seeing people talk about it. I'm like, oh, what is this weird thing? What is the sex thing people are talking about? And I'm seeing more and more. And all I'm seeing is sex talked about as like a commodity and something to be exchanged. And I'm seeing men talk about women like they're commodities and that like men just having this like primal, selfish, like all consuming, all they want is your body. And then women being like, men suck, all they want is my body. Like this very much like exchange or even being taken advantage of. Like, and then I start seeing people talk about and I'm like, what's, and then I figure out what it is and I'm like, oh, fun. So I'm learning all of this knowledge about this very, very twisted worldly view of sex. And then the devil brings shame into my life. And I'm like, I can't tell Mom about this. And so I remember so many conversations that I would have where she would start to explain like more about sex. And I would have to feign like I didn't know anything because I didn't want to reveal it. But I was also so embarrassed because I was like, what if she figures out from my facial expressions that I know more that I'm letting on? And so it was just like a mental war every time she would bring it up. But it messed with me because now I'm like, oh, so men only care about women's bodies. That's all they want. They like when I get married, that's what marriage is that a man just wants to sleep with me. And so then there's this I'm 10 and there's this like divide in my soul where I'm like, do I sexualize myself because that's what they want? Or do I like resent men because all they want is sex? And that would mess with me for years, like 5 years. Yeah. I didn't tell anyone until I was, I think 16. And weird enough, it was the sister that was right above me. She's still not walking with the Lord. So she's like, hey, you ever watch weird things? You ever want to go do this, and that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, other people have gone through that? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy. I thought that I was the only one that looked at this content. Well, she's fanning the flame in a different way.
Sure.
I'm like also going through this realization that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not a horrible person. I thought I was like this wretched human being that had like, oh my gosh, I was horrible and I looked at this bad stuff I wasn't supposed to. I didn't realize that like everyone else in my generation has gone through that and also seen things that they shouldn't have seen. So yeah, it definitely affected how I viewed the world around me, how I viewed men. It was the start of definitely a lie of like men cannot be trusted and they're really mean and they just want you to use you. And so, yeah, with that, I like push everyone away in my family.
So yeah, that does lead me to this question. So when you were turning towards curiosity about sex and porn and feeling all the shame, how was this like affecting the question in your heart of if I'm lovable? And how is all of that affecting your view of God, maybe your view of sin, or your view of yourself? Like how are these things tying together for you?
That's literally the best question you could have asked, because holy cow, did it fan every lie, like the flame of every lie in my life. Because it was like, I'm filled with shame. So I feel ashamed of, like, to the Lord. So anytime I would deal with lust, whether it was masturbation or pornography or anything like that, I would purposely keep myself away from God and not let myself repent for a few days, because I felt like I needed to like self-flagellate and like not let myself experience his love and his presence until I had like repented enough, like through action, and then I'd let myself come back to him.
Explain self-flagellate a little bit more.
Self-flagellation, it's like the you trying to hurt yourself in a way to make you pay for your own sins. And so we don't need to self-flagellate because like by his stripes we are healed. It says that in Isaiah. So Jesus has already bore all of the punishment for our sins.
That's right.
He has already been beaten and bruised. And I think it says that like even his beard was plucked out. Ow. Like he was hurt in all these ways and then hung on a cross, and he bore all of the weight of God's wrath. And he's absorbed every single iota of it. So there's none left. There is not a single ounce of wrath left for us to receive. So when we have these moments where we're so filled with shame that we're like, oh, I need to punish myself in some way, this might come out as, like I said, like pushing yourself away from God, or even in self-harm. There was a period where I was having these intense panic attacks, and I almost turned to self-harm, physical self-harm, because I was so mad at myself and I felt like I needed to punish myself for it. But there is no wrath.
Amen.
There's none. Like, as bad as you feel and as shameful as you feel, and you sit there and you say, I don't deserve to be forgiven, but that's what grace is.
That's right.
The whole point of the gospel of grace is that we don't deserve it. And as much as you want to make God punish you so that you can pay for your own crimes, he will not. And he won't relent on that. So you have the option to either like continue to try to pay for a debt that's already paid, or you can accept the grace that doesn't make sense and use it as like the foundation on which you stand, so that you can show other people this grace and you can share with other people this gospel. It doesn't make sense and it will never make sense, but it is the reality, is that we're forgiven and that there's no more wrath left for us. So you have to accept that. And then from there you can move on and you can thrive and you can fully, like I used to write down in my notebooks, like I felt like I couldn't thank God enough, but I was like, my thank you is living the life that you died to give me.
Amen. That's what Romans 12:2 says.
I literally can't say thank you enough.
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed because I'm like, you've done too much. Like I can't even, words don't cover it. So my greatest thank you is living the life you died to give me.
That's beautiful, Breezy. Yeah, I would love to end it there, but we got to get more testimony, but that's so good. Oh, that's just so good. Yeah, I love that. And so I love that you were like, I hate that you did this, but I love that you were making these connections where you're like, I'm punishing myself for something that Jesus already took the punishment for. And you really clearly just demonstrated, like, this is what the gospel does. Like, this is what Jesus' death on a cross has accomplished for us, is it has purified us and has given us unmerited favor with God. And so what led you to start? You already believed in the presence of God and had, this beautiful encounter with the Lord. What led that gospel reality start to meet Breezy where she is? Kind of take us through some of your high school years. Like take us through, you're like nearing the end of high school, entering into college years. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going back to timeline. So we got our thing. We got crying in church, encounter with the Lord, pornography, start looking at the world different, looking at myself different. Like we're moving, goes into early high school. I start facing deep anxiety, crippling depression. Like I am just in the depths of the depths. And then that's middle school, actually. First year of high school is March 2020. And I'm like, man, high school
Nothing of any significance happened in March 2020.
Nothing has happened. Oh crap, there's this weird coronavirus thing, and my brother's like, it's gonna shut down the world. He's silly, he doesn't know anything. Oh my gosh, the coronavirus has gotten into America. It's like 3 cases, we're fine.
And then it shuts down the world.
Oh, we don't have school for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in comes the shutdown of the entire world.
Yeah.
So then I was isolated. And so then I hit rock bottom, and it was like, and my sister at this point, the one up directly above me, we both hit rock bottom same year. But mine is like, oh my gosh, I feel like there's nothing redeemable about me. I hate myself. I'm just in the depths of despair. Hers is almost attempting and being like, yeah, I don't want to be on the earth anymore. And that's a whole different thing that was really hard. And so we're both going through this. But what was really interesting is that we're both on this path, but there's a split because she had to inch by inch crawl her way out of depression to be in healing and go through therapy and do all the things. And she has bit by bit, like, built herself into the strong woman that she is today, and been able to find joy and find, well, really like happiness and like enjoy life and not just surrender to depression and get a will to live and stuff like that again. But she had to do it all on her own. While me, in June of 2020, there was an online summer camp that I attended. So it's literally Zoom. And
Sounds awful.
It was actually, I'd never done a summer camp before, so I'm having a blast.
That's not actual summer camp.
Yeah,
she didn't know any better.
Okay.
It was probably glorious.
I didn't know any better.
It's fine.
So we sit.
It's okay. Days sounds like
I'd
hell.
never done anything, so we're good. So we have like big sessions, and then we have like small group sessions, then we have private time of prayer. And I go through this thing, and I'm really getting moved by the Lord. And during this Zoom summer camp, one of the days was like day 2 or 3. I'm in a private time of prayer, and I'm sitting in front of my window, and it's when it finally clicked, and I was like, okay, wait, I know you. I've always known you. I love you. But God, I haven't surrendered myself to you.
That's good, Breezy.
I just, like, for the first time, it's like it was real. It wasn't, I always say like God was a chapter in the book of my life. And this was the moment where I was like, oh wait, no, you're the binding. You're what holds it together.
So good.
That's so good.
I just saw him in all of his majesty for the first time. And I was like, oh wait, you're worthy of me. You're worthy of everything. I hate myself at this point. And I'm like, I don't see anything redeemable in me. And I don't see why you would want me and why there's anything worthy about me. But you say that you want me, and I'm not holding that back. Like, I see myself as garbage, but who am I to go to a king and say, no, you can't have it? I'm like, even if I'm nothing, I will put nothing at your feet. Like, I don't have the authority to hold back what you died for. Because not because of who I am, but because of who you are.
Yeah, amen.
And like, that was the moment that I was like, okay, enlist me in your army. I give you my everything. I don't know what this means. I don't know what this will change. I don't know any of this. I just know that you're worthy, and I'm giving you everything.
Yeah.
It is all on the table, God. Every single bit of who I am, I'm giving to you. And you say that I'm worth loving, and I don't believe it, but I will dare to believe.
Amen.
I will take a step of faith. And I don't know what it looks like. And that turned into months of me sitting on the carpet in my room and sobbing my eyes out. I would listen to these different songs like, I got to lock in. We only got certain time left. I have a lot of rabbit trails I like, but listening to these different songs, I listened to Upper Room a lot during that time. Yeah. And I would listen to songs like I Just Love You. And there's like a worship moment called Abba Abba. Abba Abba, I don't remember. There's like a part in parentheses, and a different one called the Father Song. And there's all these songs about him being a father and him loving me. And I would listen to these songs of like, from the perspective of God, of him speaking love over me. Yeah. And sobbing my eyes out, because I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand how you love me. I don't understand. And he had to tell it to me 10,000 times before it like started to barely get into my brain.
Yeah.
And then that would lead into like after the lockdown, like me getting into a church where I was surrounded by people that like really started to love me for the first time. So I guess I was 15 when I first got into a church that I connected with, like people that loved me and started putting community around me, which I had never felt to that like depth and level before. Oh,
You're good.
And yeah, and then I like get a therapist for the first time that loves the Lord, and so I can start processing these things that I've gone through with my dad, because at this point he's still
Not
completely walked away from the Lord.
Yeah.
He's getting like kind of better. He's not as angry as he was when I was young. But at this point, this is when it was like peak like roommate behavior. Like he was in his office, I was in my room. I just kind of did life, and I saw him like once or twice a week in passing, and it was like an awkward conversation, and then like that was it. Like I'm not exaggerating. I talked to him maybe twice a week. So that was that. And I'm getting to process all these things, and the Lord's just slowly bit by bit showing me like you are lovable because I deem you lovable.
I love that.
And it's like not something like he's like, you are beautifully and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
Like wonderful are your works, oh God. My soul knows them very well. Like you have called me by name. You have redeemed me. Like I am yours. Psalm 139 has gotten me through everything in life. I think I have most of it memorized because I love like,
it's a powerhouse.
It's so good.
It's so well known, but it's a powerhouse. And there's richness in it that you can go back to 100 times and still glean new things out of it. Yeah.
That specific page in my Bible is like all crinkled from tears.
I love that.
Yeah. And so he just like started to heal me and it changed everything. It changed how I thought about myself. It like over these past 6 years since I surrendered my life to the Lord, like he has freed me from anxiety. It was a stronghold. Oh my goodness. I couldn't do nothing. But like now I'm so free from it, and it's still a battle occasionally. Like it's still a battle sometimes, but like I'm just a different person, and everything good in my life has been a fruit of his work.
Amen.
And I just like, that's just the whole thing is I just give myself away. And I give everything to him, and I'm like, you make the beauty. You bring the increase. You bring the flowers from the ashes. Like, even if I mess everything up, like, I'm not powerful enough to mess up your plan for my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh,
I really, really enjoy that the first real big encounter you had with God after all the struggle, as you use the word worth. Because like you said, you were struggling with the fact that you knew you were loved, but you didn't have anyone who knew you. You weren't known. God's always known you.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I love that you use that word, because to you, it's always been enough. He's always seen your worth, no matter what. You've always been known. You've always been loved, but you had to accept it. It was something that I felt like you had to give to God, to be like, I know you know me. I'm just going to recognize it now, and I'm not hiding from you any longer.
Because I wanted the approval of like humans so much.
Yeah.
And like God's love wasn't enough for me, but he's shown me that it is. And so it's still a struggle today, but like learning to like put down the approval of man and that his approval is enough.
Yeah.
And also that like to trust that his design of who I am is good.
Yeah.
That I'm beautifully and wonderfully made.
And it's been amazing to be with you and study, and to see you go through learning that and then coming to us with that fire.
Yeah.
Is when we met Breezy, is her coming to us with this fire. But then also the transition of that, then entering your family and entering your dad, and watching you struggle so much with, I need to love my dad through this season, but it's the next piece that I haven't relinquished yet to God. But then like watching you relinquish it was amazing. And I know that's God. I know that's not us. I know that's not you. None of us are strong enough. I know he did that work in you. So seeing him work in you is so, so cool.
I want to add to, like, you know, I know I joke and say you're a resident baby. Technically you are not anymore, but
Common.
yeah, we've got another girl doing the Alpha Common. She's 18. But at the same time, like when you came to our Bible study as the youngest, like you came in so unapologetically in love with Jesus and brought all ounce of your passion of the Lord to this Bible study. And every one of us who are older than you have all learned from you. Like every time I think about you, I think about 1 Timothy 4:12. Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example in faith, love, and purity. I always got the first part and I forget the second part. But yeah, I mean, you motivate us to hunger. We're already hungry for the Lord. You motivate us to hunger after the Lord more. And that's why I think intergenerational friendships and intergenerational relationships matter. It's not just from the top down. Like sometimes you've said, and your mom has said this too, like every once in a while you'll be like, you've said like, I'm like supplemental discipleship on the side for you. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like your mom takes care of all of that. But like I get to pour into you as my friend, things that God's taught me, having been like 14 years ahead of you in life, but you pour so much into me. Like you really, like your zeal for Jesus really makes me just cling to the Lord and hope in the Lord. Like you do that for all of us. And so it goes both ways. It's very reciprocal. And so you're a tremendous blessing to literally everybody who knows you. And I know a lot of people that know you and they all are blessed by you. Yeah.
And I love to ask this because you did bring up a good, verse that kind of puts it together, but you mentioned Psalm 139. Do you feel like that's what anchors your story kind of, or was there anything? We love to ask about anchor verses as far as if there's anything that like sticks out.
Psalm 139 is definitely one. Psalm 22 means a lot to me. Isaiah 54.
Good one.
Is that the one about
sheep led astray?
No, what's the one of
stripes you were healed?
Yes.
53.
53.
Also.
Yeah. And then also Isaiah 40 ? When it talks about you will mount up on wings like eagles, you will run and not grow weary, and you will walk and not faint. Yeah. That one. There's a lot of Psalms. There are Psalms and Isaiah are like
some big ones.
My buddies. It's like those little like drawings of like the kids do, like the little stick figures like hand in hand. It's like me and like Isaiah and David, and we're like and little like flowers and roses.
Okay,
and,
like, now track.
A circle sunshine with the little ding, 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 ding. Like that's my life. Actually, I think that's my entire spiritual walk. Me and David.
This tracks. I love this.
I think it's thieves.
Okay, so as we close out, I ask all of our guests this: what is your favorite thing about Jesus? I know.
What comes to mind, and I'm gonna cry. What comes to mind is his compassion. Is just the compassion of the Lord. Like that he would look on someone so broken and someone who, like, I didn't think that there was literally anything worthy about me. And like, I feel like my whole life, he just grabs my face and he says, dare to believe. Just dare to believe that what I say is true. And I take those steps of faith, and like, he is so filled with compassion. He loves me, and he loves, and like, and Jonah, I love the story of Jonah. How many times have I read it? Not many. Yeah. No, not many, not honestly. Probably not enough as much as I talk about it, but I do love Jonah. That like, Jonah was so, like, if you go into the history of like what those people did to the people of Israel, it's like
the Assyrians,
they like skinned them alive.
Yes. Like
it was horrific.
Yeah.
And Jonah was so angry at God, and he was like, why would you show mercy to them? Why would you show mercy to them? And he's like, because I want them to. And just like, I can have compassion for the people that I meet because of the compassion that I've received from the Lord and the love that I've received from the Lord. Like, if you know me, and if you know anything about like how much I seek to love people well, it's because of how I've been loved by Christ. Like, I pray all the time. I'm like, I want to be unashamed of the gospel, and I want to talk about it all the time, because I need people to know. I need them to know this love. And anytime people ask me, how are you so joyful? How are you so happy? How do you have all this love? I always say it's Jesus. Yeah. Even if I feel awkward, even if I'm like, this sounds cringe, I'm like, I don't care about cringe, because it is Jesus. It is it is him and him alone. It is Jesus. That is the reason that I love as much as I can, and I forgive as much as I can, and I serve, and I will basin and towel, sit at someone's feet and wash their feet, like, because I've received so much love that I didn't deserve, that I can't dare hold it to myself.
That's beautiful.
I have to share it.
So good.
Thank you, Breezy. This
Girl,
has been great.
Yeah, we could keep you here for like 2 more hours, but we don't have time for that. So,
But this
anyway,
was so
this
good.
was wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much. And she'll be back like a lot. She'll be definitely back next season when we talk about spiritual gifts. We're bringing you back for that. She also spontaneously sings. Okay.
Time will tell.
If you loved today's conversation and you watched us on YouTube, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss our next episode. And if you found us on other podcast sites like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you subscribe and leave a review below. And finally, if today's conversation and Breezy's testimony encouraged you, share the episode with a friend. I know we've talked a lot about some angry fathers on this podcast. So this is more of an epidemic of the enemy than anything.
But there's a lot of redemption
There's
too.
a lot of redemption, man. There's some cool
We're not
stuff.
still angry.
Your dad,
Also,
your
yeah.
dad, my dad, Kelly's dad.
Stay tuned, because if we can con my mom into getting here and drag her here,
Yeah.
then
She'll
you're gonna
explain
hear
the
the
story.
whole redemption story of my dad. You're like, oh wait, he was so angry and such. Like,
for
who is he now?
Yeah.
Check in.
But yes.
Next testimony.
But share this episode with a friend, especially a friend who's needing to understand the compassion of Jesus. We want Wildflower women everywhere to know how much Jesus loves them and that he has a beautiful purpose for their lives and for them within the church. We're so thankful that you chose to spend this time with us. And as we head out, don't forget, if you root yourself deep in God's word and let the Holy Spirit ignite and lead you, then you'll be able to grow and thrive wherever he plants you. Bye.
Bye.
Farewell.